Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to episode 3 of the Today's Teens podcast, an inside look at the building of the Today's Teens conference, which takes place February 22nd, 2025 in Brampton, Ontario. It is a event for youth leaders, student leaders, pastors, potential leaders, friends, countrymen. Lend me your ears, all of the things. It's for all of you, and it is so exciting to be a part of that conference. My name is Chris Chase. I am the host of this podcast. I love being able to spend time with you, the listener or the viewer, depending on your podcast consumption, to be able to talk to you about this conference that I love so much. And I am here. Friends, every time I think that we have we've ascended, we just take another level with our guests. Every time I think it can't get better. Every time I think we've reached the peak. Yes, I know that we've only done 3 episodes, but every time I think that we've reached the peak, we then go another level. And today, or tonight, again, depending on your podcast consumption, our guest on the Today's Teens podcast is a speaker. He is a hooper. For those of you who do not know this, he is a hooper. He is a host. He is an author, and he is one half of the onstage hosting team for the Today's Teens conference. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for my friend and yours, Mike Gordon. Mike Gordon is in the building today. Let's go. Give it up for him. Yes, Mike, my friend, my brother. How are you today?
Wow, what a great intro. We can only go up. Hopefully we don't go down, but if we do, that means episode 4 will be way, way better than episode 3. But no. I'm gonna set the bar on some level, big or small, high or low. I'm just grateful to be here. So thanks for having me.
Listen, I'm not gonna let you. I'm not gonna let you disregard yourself. I'm not gonna let you downplay yourself. There's going to be the deprecation of self is not taking place here. This is a place where we give out flowers to our friends, where we let our friends know how much we appreciate them. And man, I tell you, I used to work at a Bible college in Peterborough, Ontario, and the amount of times that I heard about this guy by the name of Mike Gordon, and I'm like, yo, who is this Mike Gordon guy? So I go and I Google. I'm like, oh, okay. I have to step my game up as a pastor. I have to step my game up as a communicator. I have to step my game up as an entrepreneur, because this guy is the real deal. I'm telling you, this is coming from teenagers who are early young adults who are taking Bible college courses and seminary courses in order to become pastors, and they're talking about you as an inspiration and a motivator for their desire to go into ministry. So, my friend, you're not going to come on this podcast as we talk about this conference and downplay yourself. That is not happening. The bar only goes higher, my friend. The bar only goes higher.
That's awesome. Okay, we're going higher then. I don't wanna let those kids down, all those young pastors. It's for
Yeah,
you guys who are listening.
those kids who are now like in their mid-30s now with their own families and stuff and mortgages. Yeah, they're all really old now. They're like, I don't have time for my Gordon anymore. I'm paying taxes, like all that sort of stuff. But at the time, oh man, Mike, listen, all those things, right? So, Mike, you have been able to do some really incredible things. You have been able to be, and I say this without any sort of, I say this like legitimately, like you've been able to be on stage or share stages with some of the most well known within the circle of Christianity, some of the most well known artists and speakers of a generation, right? Like not everybody gets that privilege to be able to do that, to whether it's just passing by and saying hello to somebody or actually being in conversation with them and doing life with them. You've been able to be in spaces that other people haven't been or maybe aspire to. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to aspire to that for the right reasons, obviously, right? We don't want to say like, the whole idea of celebrity, blah, 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 blah. Like, if you're able to do that with the right heart, with the right spirit, with the right intentions, that's a really cool thing. Can we like pull back a little bit on from present to past, and for people who don't know who you are, how does one get from baby Mike, baby Michael, you know, to that point there? Like where tell us a little bit about that story for the ones or two that wouldn't know you.
Yeah, so going back to baby Michael,
Baby Michael, here
I
you
would
go.
always, yeah, my family called me Michael when I get in trouble, but
I get called Christopher when I get in trouble, so I understand that. We relate,
yeah,
my friend.
you got it, you got it. Baby Michael, honestly, like for me, I became a Christian near the end of high school, and I had this 180 change. And I think because of that, Jesus was real. And I'm not sure if I was naive or arrogant or just so passionate about Jesus, but I wanted everyone to have that 180 change and discover who Jesus was. So I went from giving my life to Christ at 18, and then a year and a half later, I'm in ministry, and no idea what I was doing. Still barely know what I'm doing.
Yeah, it's fair. None of us really do.
If we're honest, right?
Yeah, right.
Um,
But we still write books and make podcasts. So there you go. So there you go. So there you go.
I have no idea how I actually got here, but I think it was, I trusted God every step of the way. I worked hard. Sometimes we don't think about that part in the ministry. We think of have faith and trust God, but we don't realize, hey, maybe school helps. So I went to get 8 years of post-secondary education and try to learn from people and be coached
Right.
and mentored by people and um and I just followed this passion. I love people, I love Jesus, and for me, speaking is the best job I can ever have to bring both those worlds together. So, really, when I first felt the call to speaking, I spent years pastoring before that. But when I first felt the call to just traveling and speaking, I just knocked on every door, like sending cold emails to churches or reaching out to people I don't know that well, but I'm like, hey, want to help connect me somewhere? And after, maybe out of out of every 25 emails, I might have maybe one email that says, we'll give you a shot, or maybe they actually responded to the email and that response was still a no. But I don't know what happened, but over the last, 13 years, just speaking, been averaging over 200 speaking engagements a
Wow.
year, and you just say yes, and I say yes if I feel like this is where God's, pointing me, and I feel like my heart to serve the local church and ministries and conferences, and over time, all of a sudden you're getting booked at weird events, and those weird events have some really cool Christian bands and artists, and they start to like you a little bit, and from there that door just really opens. So whatever reason, God had kind of shifted that focus more into that Christian music event world as a speaker, where all of a sudden you're on tour with people and eating dinner, but no different than the artist, no different than me. I don't think our heart has ever changed from being little Michael, or little Toby or little Lecrae, all that, and
Yeah, for sure.
had a heart to go into ministry and go on a platform to share Jesus in some way, shape, or form, and just a privilege to be able to do what I do for a living.
Yeah. And so I'm listening to your story, and there's a number of people who I used the word aspire before, who would aspire to, I want to be a speaker, right? And they get into ministry in order to one day be a speaker. I would be lying if I didn't say that was something I thought of when I was like 24 years old. Because you see somebody on a platform and you think that's the coolest thing in the world, right? Again, let's break down like the idea of like you're 29 now speaking in front of a whole bunch of teenagers. That's your biggest dream, but whatever. Like that's just like that's a whole other thing, right?
Mhm.
But like that was never something that you intentionally wanted. You just simply wanted to serve, right? That
100%.
was right. Like you just wanted to kind of like and that took you towards speaking. It wasn't that you got into this at 18 to then become a traveling speaker. It's just like, I'm going to study, I'm going to learn, I'm going to grow, I'm going to develop with other mentoring leaders. And then that sort of moved you towards that. Fair?
100%. And yeah, because I was working in churches for about 8.5 years, and maybe on the 7 year mark, I felt like God was just kind of shifting
Okay.
that ministry focus, right? And the in church ministry was incredible, but at no point was I like, I want to be a speaker because I saw that person's job and it looks easy and fun and it seems easier than pastoring. It wasn't like that. It really felt like it was a call. And I know that for sure because maybe not to be too transparent, but the church I was leaving at the time, I gave them 1 year's notice and just said, I think this is where God's calling me. And, into a world with no salary and no consistent pay. And when I was starting, it was literally like no pay at all. And they came back to me about maybe 1 month before I was wrapping up with them. And they just said, hey, we'll give you $70,000 to stay with us and continue doing the ministry at the church. And I was just like, call me crazy. I really feel this is where God's calling me
Hmm.
right now. So, and I was so content that this is where God wanted me. I had so much peace where if I fell on my face and I completely bombed and failed, whatever. I had so much contentment of just saying, I'm just going this direction and we'll see where God leads it. If that means I do it for 3 months or 3 years, I was just open to whatever. And again, like I said, I think I'm on year 12 or 13 speaking full time. Um, yeah, it's insane, crazy, and awesome. And, it's all glory to God for sure.
Hmm. Also, do you have the name of that $70,000 church? That
I,
a website. Just put it in the chat. Just text
I'll
it to me
text
later.
you.
It's fine.
I'll
It's fine.
text it.
Because I
Yeah.
have a couple of friends who might be. It's fine. It's fine. Just don't. But if you put it in the yeah, so,
Yeah.
it's fine.
Church
I,
ministry sounds way better now. Yeah.
like I'm fine, but I might have friends of mine
Yeah.
who might need a secondary skip the dishes type of job. So it's fine. Anyhow, so
Yeah,
you
all those
know,
35-year-olds from
yeah,
Masters.
exactly. From that time, they're all jumping right back into the pool of ministry now because they heard that. Like, what?
They feel
That
called. They feel
exists?
called. They're
Oh
called
my
to ministry
goodness!
again.
People who've never even thought about ministry now are like, wait a minute, are you for real? Oh, did you what? Right. Anyhow, so wherever church you're at, just get in the comments in the Spotify. Anyhow, back to serious. Back to serious. Um, so the ability to go and do this thing 200 speak engagements a year, to be able to travel, to be on planes, trains, and automobiles. In the midst of that, you volunteer your time to serve a 1 day conference every February uh, on behalf of today's teens. Before we get into the why of that, how did you line up with today's teens to begin with? Like, what was the sort of the introduction to Mike Gordon joining up with this ever growing, ever effective event?
Yeah, so the way I started was volunteering. I was connected to Toronto Youth Unlimited at the time, where Today Teen was under. And at that point, it was co-directed by Matt Wilkinson and Paul Robinson. So I received an email. I don't know how I got connected, but I showed up to volunteer for the day, and I think I might have been a breakout host. Where you make sure the speaker has water and you take up the love offering. I'm joking. There's no love offering for the speakers, but I'm joking. Totally joking. I was just there
He's
to
joking.
serve.
He's joking, ladies and gentlemen, just in case you're
Yeah,
wondering.
don't bring money to the breakouts. I'm just joking, guys. I'm joking. Um,
No, no.
I'm just happy to get dinner. At the end of the day, they're like, "Hey, we got wings and pizza for the volunteers." I'm like, "Wow, this is a home run." Um, that's how I started, just as a volunteer. And then when I was doing ministry, how I took the next step into today's teens. One of the people who were mentoring me at the time and coaching me was Paul Robinson, who years ago was Matt's co-director. And ministry is weird when you are young because the reality is you're passionate, and the other reality is you might be a little arrogant. So here I am. I go to Today Teens once, and I'm thinking, oh, I've been in ministry for 2.5 years at this point. Like, oh, I could be a breakout speaker. I could be a keynote speaker. Like no, I can't. Like, what do I know? Like, I don't know anything, right? Now maybe you can if you're young and 22 and listening, but for me, I really had no qualifications other than looking at it and going, "That's what I want to do." So I remember I emailed Paul Robinson. I just said, "Hey, next year I would love to, be a speaker."
Hmm.
Very, very bold. And Paul Robinson, he emailed me back, and like I said, I had a relationship with him. And Paul said, "I don't think you are ready yet, but keep working hard, and maybe one
Wow.
day you might be the keynote speaker at Today Teens." And I think it was like maybe 6 years or 7 years later, I booked as the keynote speaker. I think that was
Cool.
2013 or 2014. Um, and it's a really awesome message that Paul gave. It said, "Hey, it gave me hope, but also a nice dose of reality." And but for whatever reason, that got that door open down the road, and um, I love it. I shouldn't say this out loud because I do a lot of conferences throughout the year, but Today Teens is my favorite. So um, I tell them, however you want to use me, use me.
Yeah.
So I think there might be an email somewhere where I said, if you want me to show up and clean the bathrooms, beforehand or during or after, I'll do it. They had different ideas where they said after being the keynote speaker, they said, "Hey, do you want to be one of the co-hosts and MCs and continue doing breakout sessions, from time to time?" And that was an obvious yes. So that's how I got involved. I got involved by being a volunteer and then slightly being shot down, but in a good way. 'Cause I think it made me realize I'm not there yet. Let's keep growing. Let's keep, learning.
Hmm.
Let's keep moving forward. And I remember when I received that email, them inviting me to be the keynote speaker that one year. It was just that it was a really cool God thing for me. So on many levels, Today's Teens has been a huge, huge blessing. And but yeah, I tell people start by volunteering. Volunteer,
Yeah.
volunteer. It's fun. That's how I started.
And you right now, you co-host with Melinda Estabrooks, who was a guest on our last week's podcast,
Yeah.
and you do breakouts, as well. And breakouts, for those of you who don't know, breakouts are simple. They have the keynote speakers, which is for the large room for a large crowd of people, and then they have breakouts, which are theme specific to different ideas, different ideologies, whatever else it is that you can kind of gravitate to, whether it is practical ministry, theology, question and answers, different things that you can kind of sign up for and go into. And so you've been able to do a couple of those. Talk to me a little bit about working with Melinda. Like what's that experience like? Because you've been doing that together for a number of years. Obviously, there was 2 years where we were online, and so the being together is different, but it's obviously different when you're in a room with people and you're able to. I think it was last year I'm watching you guys run into, you're doing costume changes and things of that nature. And, Melinda was talking about the idea like there's bits that you guys come up with and have to do and things of that nature. So what's it like being a co host in that sort of environment?
Yeah, first of all, she is a superstar. And she has the most perfect combo for what she does. 'Cause what she does, even beyond Today Teens with her TV show, there's a very professional side to her. She wants excellence, right? But then there's another side to her where it's just fun and laughter and just like a joy to be around. And she has mastered bringing those two worlds together, where when I first started emceeing, I was really good with the fun and laughter and stuff. Um, wasn't as professional, So, so from day one, she was. I would say for the first 2 years or so, she really was a coach because she was emceeing before I was for many, many years, and I looked up to her, and she helped me learn the ropes, and we kind of found our groove and our style, and that chemistry grew. And she is just a fun. She is so fun to work with, but also
Yeah,
again very
yeah.
professional. She's the one that's going through all the notes and calling me and double checking stuff and making sure this is in place and we understand the timeline here. Everything you need to do behind the scenes, and when we go out there, we try to have as much fun as we can.
As you've been able to do youth ministry, and now you get to travel around and connect with youth pastors around North America, around the world. What is it about this conference that encourages you as a former pastor, somebody who is around youth pastors and youth leaders? We are friends outside of work, you and I. In terms of outside of what we do, we get chances to be in each other's lives. And I can see on Instagram you are connected. You are oftentimes connecting with people who were in your youth ministry from a different time in your life and other youth ministries. What is it about this event that encourages you about the next crop of leaders to come? Because you and I, we're not spring chickens anymore.
Hmm. Yeah,
We're
we
you
won't.
know, we our clothing would say that we're still in that framework, but it's held up by tape and belts and stuff
Yeah,
like that now at this point. Like we're trying hard. Like
yeah.
what is it about this
And when,
generation?
yeah, I was gonna say when you watch us play basketball, that's when you really can tell our
Yeah,
age.
you
When we're
know immediately. Yeah, like we have. Yeah, it's not pretty.
that we're
We
huffing and
yeah,
puffing and
yeah,
limping and
yeah. My stats are three hands on knees, one you get them, and five walking up and down the court not playing defense. Like that's my stats every.
sounds like LeBron James. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. He played defense. He played defense.
So
That's funny.
back to serious. Like back to serious, right? We need Melinda to keep us together. Like what is it about this event that you've been able to be in the room? What is it about this event that makes you go like we're gonna be okay? Because I know there's conversations about like we're running out of leaders, culture is different, there is a disengagement with people when it comes to religious faith, all these sort of things, and yet we get to be in a room where we get to see the next crop of leaders. We get to see them. So when you see that room and you get to hang out with them, what about this event gives you hope for what is to come?
Well, I think we've been running for over 40 years now. Um, that makes no sense. There's not many ministries or conferences anywhere has been running that long. And youth ministry had changed a lot, there's always the waves of up and down. I think, first of all, the fact that we're still doing today's teen conference and not just doing it, but we continue to grow and have a new crop of leaders. I think that is a testimony to just the youth work community and the fact that what we offer has so much value. For the young wave of leaders, honestly, I think ministry, especially doing ministry to young people, teenagers, I think it's harder than ever.
Mm.
And that's just me. And I'm seeing that more when I speak, and I'm seeing that more when I sit down with youth leaders and youth pastors for lunch, and they're kind of venting about some of their challenges and whatnot. And to me, the fact that these people still want to do youth ministry, although it might be harder than ever and have more challenges than ever, and they're still saying yes to this calling, whether it's in a paid youth pastor role, whether it's in a volunteer position at your church, whether it's camp ministry or maybe even school ministry, outreach ministry. What gives me hope is the fact people are still saying yes to youth ministry. And we see a small glimpse of that at today's teens when you have 1,000 people, more than 1,000 people, all in one room. And you look around, and once in a while, I have these moments at the conference, and I look around and I go, I'm not the only one in this game. There's a lot of people making lots of impacts, and it's actually very encouraging to realize all these people said yes. It's not just a select few or a small group of people or us older people trying to hang in the game. These are people who are jumping into the game and might be more equipped and qualified than we are to reach
Yeah, it's true.
Generation Alpha, which is we're still learning about them, and some of these new younger youth workers are they're fully engaged in that generation, just know their DNA, and they hit the ground running. So that's just my little take. We all have different answers, but the fact they're saying yes, that's incredible. That's incredible.
Yeah, and I often think about how the generation that is behind us or coming like is now essentially they know more about technology, they know more about cultural sensitivity, cultural awareness, than we ever what we do. They also know a lot more about having a backbone than we do too. They stand, the kids would say stand on business. They stand on business, whereas our generation can be wishy-washy depending on where the fads go. They are like, no, this is who we are, this is what we believe. If they hold on to something, they don't let go of it very lightly. And so for them to decide that Jesus is their only and their everything, and then to put everything they've got into it, plus using what they like, my son is just turned 13 and he can edit videos like it's no one's business. Meanwhile, I'm sitting trying to figure out how to, like, but he knew how to do that during the pandemic, like all this sort of stuff where it would have taken the average youth pastor hiring a student to do that for them during the summer times. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yep.
like, and that's just on the technology side. That's not talking about their ability to learn, their ability to communicate, their ability to do so many things, and then to decide at that young age, I'm going to dedicate myself to ministry is an incredible thing, and it does to me say like we're going to be all right. It might not look the
Mhm.
same way. Every generation that comes after one gets chastised by the one that's before them for doing it differently, for looking differently, for right. But we're going to be okay because ultimately Jesus is the center, and that's how they're doing it. So February 22nd, 2025, you're going to be hanging out with a whole group of other speakers. Our mutual friend Joanna Lafleur, she described it as like a big family reunion.
Mhm.
Uh, that she describes like we're not all in heaven yet, but when we're all at Bramley Baptist Church, like we're all there hanging out. Um, it's a great time together. Like, what are some of your favorite stories, if you have any that come to mind? Some favorite stories of being at the conference, whether it's being in the green room or hanging out with a guest speaker, hanging out with yours truly, like whoever, like, or maybe it's something that you saw on a platform. Like, what are some of your favorite behind the scenes, inside baseball stories from your vantage point of being a host and being an involved member of the Today's Teens team? Because it should be mentioned too that you are a part of the Today's Teens lead team. So you sit in with myself, our producer, Misha Watson. I added, yeah, our producer, Misha Watson, producer. What are we talking about right now? Among others, we sit down together almost monthly to kind of walk through the comings and goings, the ins and outs of the event. It gets more intense as the event gets closer. So you're a part of the inner workings of the event, not just a host and not just a breakout speaker. So you get to see a lot of things that other people don't get to see. So what are some of your stories?
Yeah, so that's a great way to describe it, a family reunion. It really does feel like that. I mean, I can't walk 5 feet, from, without stopping, saying hi to someone. And whether you haven't seen them for a couple of months or some of these people you only see once a year,
It's a
but
year.
it doesn't feel like once a year though. It feels like you saw them yesterday. And I think that's such a cool vibe with the conference. Being a little more behind the scenes is so fun. One thing I love is today's teens, everyone who's a part of it, breakout speakers and keynote speakers, and the worship team as well. They're all smart people. They all know what they're doing. However, the humility they have.
Mm,
Sometimes we bring people who have big social media platforms, or big ministries, or best-selling books, and you would have no idea. The behind the scenes, they're just so humble and so down to earth, and we just hang out in a little green room and for a while with a very, very little green room when it's just like we're all smushed into a little, phone booth type thing and no one complaining. We're all laughing. I think it's the humility. Some of the fun stuff behind the scene too with Melinda and I is always trying to figure out, hey, what are we giving away? We always have a stack of, giveaways and how are we giving them away? And that's always fun. And once in a while, we'll ask for some ideas from the other speakers or leaders or volunteers. We need another idea, another idea. Or in some case, we need something else to give away. I haven't done it for 2 or 3 years, but for a while, I was giving out a fur coat every single year. I would throw into the crowd. That goes all the way back to when I was a keynote speaker. I did this
wow.
message with a fur coat, which there's an illustration to it. It's just fun. We have fun. there's another year awkward moment for me behind the scenes. I we're getting ready for what they call the John H. Wilkinson Award, which really honors people in ministry and their years of excellence and longevity. So behind the scenes, we had John Wilkinson, who's a legend, and then we had, I believe, it was Dave Overholt, getting ready to receive the award. And then right after that, I'm going straight into a game. In the game that I was playing, I had to like wear a diaper over my pants, just for clarity, over my pants. And here I am, there's John Wilkinson, legend, Dave Overholt, legend. And then me standing beside them wearing diaper behind the scenes. I'm like, I don't belong here. This is,
Yeah,
and
that's
and the funny thing is, this was not weird to them in any way, shape, or form. They're like, we've been in youth ministry for a long time. You've seen it all, but oh, bro, just weird, fun stuff. But oh, it's so good. It's so good.
see if you February 22nd, 2025. These are the reasons why you got to come for those sort of things. And I'll go back and say it again. Like there's so many behind the scenes things, so many conversations, so many moments that people who attend don't get to see, but those things fuel us when we're out and about with everybody else. When we're out and about, whether it's packing up chairs, bringing in pizzas, whether it's doing a seminar, whether it's making sure that our fellow breakout speakers have water, or whatever else it is. Like there's so much that we're doing. It's the idea of investing, and we all invest in different ways into this event. And so my final question for you is this, Mike, because I know that you are a busy man, you have things on the go. We'll talk about that in a minute. But like knowing that this is an investment, knowing that this is volunteers who are giving up their time to invest of themselves into the current and future youth leaders and youth workers and student leaders of Canada. Why should somebody come to this event? Like, what's your elevator pitch as to like why you should come?
I think we offer the best of the best, and that sounds arrogant after I talk about being humble. I don't. It's everyone else that's at 18. They offer the best of the best. I'm just there to have fun. But I don't think we
We
understand.
already said we're not doing the self-deprecating thing. We're not doing
My
that.
fault. My fault. My
I already
fault. My
told you.
fault.
This is strike two on you. This is strike two. Try again.
Try again. So I'm the best, and no, I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm joking. The guy's not humble at all. No.
He
No,
oscillates from like not humble to like completely. Like, I don't understand what's going on.
oh, so funny. But really, like, I mean, I think we offer the best of the best. And when it comes to content and speaker and all the information and just how the conference run, this conference today teas is a little different, than other amazing conferences in Canada. There are a lot of other amazing Christian conferences, and but today teens focus on youth workers. Yes, it's also a youth conference at the same time, but the intentionality behind um, offering youth workers new information to help them succeed, for the upcoming year is so valuable. And whether you are in youth ministry in some way, shape, or form, and you're maybe thrown into that position, as a volunteer with your church, and you go, what am I doing? Maybe you've never gone to Bible college for any formal training. Today's teens is like such a cool opportunity to go
Mm-hmm.
to every year to kind of learn a little bit more. But then on the flip side, I mentioned earlier, I did 8 years of post-secondary education. Um, sounds nice, doesn't mean as much as you think, because when you're on the ground and doing ministry, you have those moments going, what am I doing? I don't understand this culture. I need new information, new tools, new, breakouts, ideas, and some encouragement. So whether you're no formal training, today teams is so valuable. But if you are the person who's working toward a doctorate or anything, the master's, degree in youth ministry or theology, it's still such an awesome opportunity to come and just be on the front line of ministry and get the most current and vital information that you need, because the culture and youth ministry changes so quickly. And that degree maybe you got 7 years ago, great education, but you might get something at Today Teens this year on February 2nd, 2025, that might go beyond anything you learned 7 years ago, which can help you with the young people that you are walking with on a weekly basis.
That is, I got that was goosebumps because it's true. It's true, right? In the sense of like, I think of when I did my bachelor's. I think of the courses I've studied for my master's and what I learned a lot of years ago. My bachelor's a lot of years ago. I'm not going to put numbers on that. What I learned isn't as applicable now as it was when I graduated from Bible college and started in ministry. I had to go to conferences. I had to read books. I had to take seminars to be as current as I could be. Now my class is my 15-year-old and my 13-year-old. They're my everyday intensive classes. And I feel like I'm failing at them all the time, but I think I'm doing all right at the same time too. You know what I mean? Like that's my class. But even there, like to learn about how to speak to their generation, their friends, and the parents of their friends. This conference is so helpful. And I love what you said, like and that's not a diss on education. Both of us, we are very pro that. We would rather people go and do post-secondary and to learn, but to have supplemental things to make sure that your credentials are always up to speed and ready to go. Because Generation Beta is coming too.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like starting this year, Generation Beta is coming as Generation Alpha goes into teenager, young adulthood. So we need to be ready for that next generation to come. And so, Mike, what you said, like, dude, I got under this hoodie. For those of you who are not listening, who are not watching, I under this hoodie, I got goosebumps because I agree with you wholeheartedly, and I'm so thankful for your contribution. I'm so thankful for your contribution to the tapestry of Canadian youth ministry. I'm so thankful for your voice and the impact that you've had and your ability. I was sitting with somebody this fall and they said to me, Mike's ability to use story is unlike anything I've ever heard. And your ability to use your story for your ability to be observant, you could like your ability to just speak into people out of your experiences. We could all wish to have that, and it takes work, it takes dedication along with anointing and being set apart. And so thank you for not only saying yes to Jesus, but saying yes to putting in the work to get to that spot. So I applaud you, brother, for your contribution to the ministry tapestry of Canada. It really it makes a difference more than you probably know.
Wow, I really appreciate that because I don't know, and I
Yeah,
honestly,
if
like,
you're like, if you're different, if you're like, yeah, I
uh,
know. So shut up. Yeah, be different. Yeah.
no, but I don't know. Like, you do ministry, you do your best, and you use the little skills that you have, and the calling God put on your life, and the little information you learned along the way, and you use it and trust God does something with it. So I don't know what God is doing sometimes, but I know this is where God's called me. And I love youth ministry. I love what I get to do. I love today's teens. I love you guys, with the team. And, by the way, you're great at podcasts, Chris, just to let you know. Just to let Also, he mentioned a goosebumps under his shirt. He also had gigantic muscles. I don't know if you ever seen his
Oh,
arms.
okay. We're going to turn the corner immediately off of me. Listen, you get your own podcast and you can start doing that sort of stuff. Okay, listen. All right, you get your own podcast. You can do that sort of stuff. Not on my watch. Mike, is there anything that you have to plug? I know that before we go, talk to us a little bit about this book. You've been working on this. It's been a labor of love for you. Talk to us a little bit about that, and then ways that we could find you, locate you, follow you, all that stuff.
Okay, I'll try not to have a strike three when I try to talk to myself about myself. I hate talking about myself, but you asked,
I
okay?
did.
Uh,
I
yeah,
asked, therefore you. Yeah, therefore. It's not like you're talking about yourself out of nowhere, but what's happening? I asked you to talk about yourself. I opened the door. You got to walk in, sit down on the couch, have a cup of coffee. You know what I'm saying? All right, let's go.
I appreciate it. You need to be my manager, by the way. I need help, Anyways,
Boom. I take 20% off the top. Off.
there you go. There you go. That's so good. No problem. We can do that. You'll end up with like $200 by the end of the year, But
As long as it's tax deductible.
It's not $70,000 anymore, but what was the question? Oh, my book. Yeah, so I felt for a little while God's been putting it on my heart to write. Here's the problem with writing a book. You have to write it. You can't
Mm.
exactly chat. You can't chat GPT everything or anything. You get in trouble. So there was the hard work that scared me. But over a year ago, I really felt this is what I need to do. So the manuscript's almost done. I'm down to a chapter and a half. The chance that might be finished by the time we hit today's teens on February 2nd. And I've been
20
working
seconds.
with this
20
really, yeah,
20 seconds.
20 second. Did I not say? Sorry, 20 second, 2-2. And I've been working with this really cool Christian author, Bob Goff, as well, who's been helping me with the whole book. And that's just been helpful. He's the most encouraging person on the planet when he's reading my sentences and wonder if English is my third language or fourth. He's still able to give me some compliment and going, from what I tried to understand from that horribly written grammar sentence, it sounded good. It's good. So he's so encouraging, you know. But seriously, the book, long story short, is really about when you go through hard times and you ask God the big question, why did that happen? The book really navigates the conversation. What if you never know why? What if you
Mm.
never get an answer? What does following God look like? So it's a pretty deep topic. However, it's full of stupid stories and twisted humor. So it'll be a heavy and light read. We'll see where that goes. And I don't know, to be honest, I feel God just saying to me, put that final period, at the end of the manuscript. Whatever God does with it, he can use it whatever way he wants. But if that
Mm.
one person reads it, 10,000, a million, I mean, I have no control over that. So I'm just doing my little part. But
Very
speaking still
cool.
what I do, yeah. But speaking still what I do, last year I did drop down to a part-time speaking schedule, which for me was around, I think it was 100 speaking engagements last year. I'm speaking a little more in 2025, but the book is still a priority because after this, then you have to go through all the drafts and editing and all the work with the publishers. So this year will still be a little different than my normal ministry year, but I am still out there. I am still trying to serve local churches and ministries if they want, if they ask. And if I'm able to make it work, I'll make it work. So that's what I do. You can find me. I think you mentioned social media, whatever. You can find me on the internet. I'm old, so MySpace and ICQ is where you find me. Remember those?
Let's go.
No, really old.
There's a certain age group who thought you used to use curse words, and there's another age group who's going like, "That's my language. That's my
Yeah,
safe place." Yeah.
yep, yeah. I know I'm not that old, but yeah. I mean, again, you can find me on Instagram. Apparently, no one uses Facebook anymore, but it's still on Facebook a little bit. Mike X Gordon, find me somewhere and just shoot me a message. I'm here to walk with people and encourage people and pray for
Mm.
people and however I could be a resource to anyone listening, just to be a cheerleader in your life, especially if you're in youth ministry on the front line and have those days of feeling a little discouraged and you can't always go to your lead pastor sometimes and vent. I can't tell you how many one-on-one meetings or Zoom calls I have throughout the year of young leaders just venting and trying to encourage them and to continue doing the good work and the good ministry they are. So that's where you can find me. That's a little bit of what I do. But today teams is coming up soon, and that's where my focus is, and I can't wait
Let's
for
go.
the
Let's
awesome
go.
conference. Yeah,
And they could book you at mike/gordon.ca, right? If they're looking for a
yeah,
speaker.
yeah. They can
Okay.
book me as well if they want. Yes, I forgot about that
So
part.
if you have an opening, for a Sunday youth min midweek, mike/gordon.ca. Hit him up. He's it's gonna be worth it. Don't make that mistake. It's gonna be worth it. Mike, thank you so much for being a part of this podcast. Thank you so much for being a part of the Today's Teens Conference. We are so appreciative of you and your contribution, and we are appreciative of you, the listener/watcher of this podcast. Just a reminder, you can go to todaysteens.ca right now to register for this event. You can register as a youth leader on your own. You can register as a church, you as a youth leader, and then your students. However it is, make sure to register because it's going to be worth it. And then share that. Go on your Instagram, on your Facebook, on Threads, on I'm still calling it Twitter. Wherever is your social media, go and use that to let people know this event is happening on February 22nd, 2025. It's going to be worth it. It's so great to be able to hang out with you. Shout outs to our producer, Misha Watson. Appreciate you, sis. Thank you so much for doing that work behind the scenes. I am your host, Chris Chase. We will see you again next time for the Today's Teens podcast.